Hi, this is John with Bank Account Bonus Central, and I want to welcome you to today's video. We got something extra special because we are joined with a friend and a fellow YouTuber of mine. So it is the beginning of the year, and we got a lot of people who talk about they want to lose weight and they want to save money. And basically, this channel is nothing about losing weight, but it is about saving money. So I want to talk to somebody who's not just talking about this stuff, but he's actually doing it. So Marcus, go ahead and introduce yourself right quick.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? My name is Marcus. On YouTube, I'm the Debt-Free Dad. And since October, I've been tracking my debt-free journey of pretty much focusing on paying over $200,000 in student loans off in the next 3 years. And that's really what I'm about on YouTube and what the basis of the channel is for.
Yeah, so when I saw Debt-Free Dad, I saw you on RJ's channel. RJ is another awesome dude. So that's a cool thing about Facebook, or not Facebook, YouTube, is we have a community of people who are like-minded. We have different content, but we can all learn something from each other. So when I saw your name, Debt-Free Dad, I was like, man, I got to hook up with this guy because I'm debt-free as well, and it is an absolute beautiful feeling. I know a lot of people are sick of hearing my chase story, so let's talk to somebody who is actually succeeding. So Marcus, what made you decide to begin this debt-free journey?
Well, the thing that really, kind of pushed me over the top on the debt-free journey, because I tell you, initially, me and the wife's game plan was, those student loans, we just going to pay the minimum on them, and hopefully we live to be 90 and still owe them some money, and we'll feel like we won in the afterlife. But this past summer, I had a health situation that required 3 brain surgeries in a 90-day period. And that was shocking considering I was somebody who I work out every day. I kind of real conscious about my health. And, it was funny because the whole time that happened, when I was sitting up in the ICU in the bed, I didn't once have a thought about, what if I'm no longer here? I really didn't worry about those type of things because I couldn't control them. But I sat in the bed and I was just counting up, okay, I own this property outright. I got this much here, this much in this account, this much in an insurance policy. And I'm just calculating numbers in my head because I wanted to make sure there was enough for everybody to do everything that they needed to do in the event that something happened. And it was at that point when I got out, I realized these student loans are impeding me from making the financial progress that I really want to make. So, at that point, initially the wife wasn't on board because she gets a little intimidated by those big numbers. So we did do a FPU course together, and that was enough. Sometimes it's easier to get somebody else to explain something to somebody than me. So that was enough to push her over the edge, and that's what got us on board.
Yeah, so that's a huge thing is husband and wife working together. One of my favorite scriptures, it says that the return on two working together is a lot more than the return on each person working individually.
Definitely.
And that's something that me and my wife, we went through the whole same thing with Dave Ramsey. I don't agree with everything he's got to say, but as far as getting out of debt, this guy's a genius. I mean,
Correct.
being able to learn how to say no and delay gratifications. Me and my wife, we paid off our house within 6 years.
Wow.
That was the only debt we had. I mean, our house paid for, our cars paid for, wives paid for, kids paid for, my school paid for. I just finished my master's degree debt free.
Nice.
And we can afford to live as a family on one income.
Right.
And you throw in a few side hustles, you can actually start to make some traction, get some investments going and succeed. But most people, I agree with what Dave Ramsey says, most people are normal. Normal's broke.
Definitely.
So you said pretty huge number, $200,000 in student debts. That's a huge amount. How did you manage to begin to pay off those?
And so the actual number right now as it stands is $239,000. And so when we started, what our game plan was, well, we initially thought, well, they are federal student loans. So we were fortunate enough that this forbearance and this interest rate freeze allowed us to focus on all the other nonsensical debt that we had. And we really weren't over leveraged, but we did have credit card debt. We did have 2 vehicles, a 401k loan. But last year during that freeze, we said, hey, after the summer, once I got out of the hospital, I said, since the student loans aren't accruing any interest, let's focus on everything else and get that paid off so we can go into 2021 only with a student loan and a mortgage remaining. And so we were a month shy of that goal, but in January, we had just finished off paying about 30, in total, about $39,000 of debts with 2 cards, credit cards, a couple little knick-knack things that we were making payments on here and there. But that's really how we got started with, focusing just on those student loans.
Wow. So I'm impressed. So what's been the hardest thing? Because I know when you're paying off debts and you got goals, you got stuff like, I love buying big things, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Interesting thing, like my wife, she will buy a million little things and spend
Right.
money there.
Right.
I will buy huge things. Like
right.
I wanted a $5,000 rifle, but I kept saying no. That little bit of delayed gratification. Then once I finally finished, we paid off our house. Once I finally got my first teaching contract, I was able to get my 5,000 rifle debt free.
Right. Nice. Well, it's interesting. And I say probably the most difficult thing, and is I think we never really been leveraged too hard with credit cards. We just, hey, I had the title of attorney, and I was finally, after my first 3 years of practicing, making, about $40,000. Once I actually got an income that was commensurate with kind of my experience, we just were enjoying it. I mean, we would go on a couple of vacations a year. If I wanted to I love boxing. If I wanted to go to New York and see a boxing match, I hop up and go and just not think anything of it. So I guess I would say the biggest thing is just kind of getting everybody on board with the particular mindset. And that even extends down to the kids because, unfortunately, and I think this is kind of a thing you have to balance with parents and trying to give your kids all the stuff that you didn't have. Sometimes I think parents make excuses to overspend and be frivolous with money. I never went on vacations, so I always wanted my kids to go on vacation and they had all these stamps on their passport. But I say the hardest part was just kind of sitting down and getting everybody on board to like, hey, we are still going to go on a family vacation, but it may just be one a year and it'll be budgeted and paid for with cash. So just getting everybody into that mindset of saving and buckling down and focusing.
Yeah, so that's one thing I think we do have in common because I love vacationing as well,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't pay any money for it.
Right.
I collect the credit card points through Chase, through American Express.
Right.
I had one thing where I had a car loan. I had $2,000 left on my Ford Expedition, and I saw an amazing offer for Hyatt credit card. If you spend $2,000 on this Hyatt credit card, they'll give you basically $1,000 worth of Hyatt hotel nights.
Right.
And I mean, I'd love to see you and work with you. We'll have a video on your channel about this, but basically up in your game as far as how you can maximize your cash back and you can enjoy the vacations basically for paying your bills.
Right.
And the credit card companies make it so amazing. So there's a little teaser here for the next video. One of the next videos Marcus is going to have on his channel, how to up your game to where you can enjoy the vacations, but have the banks pay for it instead of you pay for it.
Oh, definitely. That's definitely the plan. After just watching your channel and seeing like, man, I just felt like I was leaving so much money on the table. So the first thing that I actually tried was, well, I don't have credit card debt. Let me try this cash back thing just to see how it worked for 30 days. And it was weird because my wife was like, I don't know if I want to do that. And, after that 30 days when we had almost $100 just paying off the things that we would normally pay off, we sat back and was like, okay, it might be something to this. And then that was when I really kind of fell into I guess the black hole of your videos and started watching about the bank stuff because I was like, man, you can do this with credit cards and banks. We may be on to something.
I made a video, post link right here, of how I made over 13,000 last year. I'm just a high school math teacher. I learned how to run out my direct deposit. Chase Bank told me that they don't have any value for loyal customers. They only covet the new customers. So I've made myself a professional new customers.
That's cool. Yeah, but it's definitely advantageous and I think that gives some flexibility because how how we plan our budget is we pretty much, we're both government employees, so we pretty much plan our budget on getting paid twice a month during a 12-month period. And we plan it that way because, at least 2 months out of the year, you have that third paycheck in there. And what we would normally do is on those 2 months out of the year where we had that third paycheck, we would maybe allocate a little bit for, a little bit to the debt payoff, a little bit to the investments, but we would kind of use that. If we wanted to do a vacation, we could maybe take a third of that and set it aside. But, using this method and not having to use our own income, we can just solely focus on, I'll tell you that, paying off the debt and contributing to like our 401k and that stuff. I mean, that's a game changer.
Absolutely. So basically, when is looking at your long-term projection, when do you plan on being 100% debt-free?
Well, the 100% debt-free, well, of course, I have a minimum number and a maximum number. So if we're talking about just the student loans, the minimum number would be 4 years to pay off that $39K. The maximum number would be 5 years. Now, I'll tell you one thing that's going to be a big factor in that is, because I'm not one of those student loan forgiveness people. I don't care what they do with it. But one thing that will be a factor is if the forbearance gets extended or not. Because if the forbearance is actually extended towards the end of the year, instead of ending in, the end of September, we'll be in a position where we can pay off almost half of my $109,000 student loan this year alone. So my son got 4 years until he's in college. And I said, man, I'm gonna feel like a fool if I'm paying for my college and his college. so I said, let's get this taken care of before he gets to school, and we can work on the scholarships and everything. And we actually have a saving investment 529 for the kids and everything. But yeah, I just didn't want to feel like a jerk paying for my college and his college, and I'm gonna be in my mid 40s by then. So.
I mean, as a high school math teacher, I talk to a lot of teachers, and one of the saddest things I think is you can go up and down the hallways of any high school or any school in general in the United States, and you can just randomly ask teachers, how much student loans do you have? And you will see people in their 40s, 50s, and 60s say they still have 50, 60,000, some up to 100,000. And it's really difficult to become successful with money when you still have these huge amounts of debt.
Right.
When I got my master's degree recently, I did take advantage of a Teach grant where I was paid to get my master's degree. And those types of programs out there, they are available. I do plan on making some videos on the Teach grant program.
Right.
And, if you qualify for it, there's nothing wrong with being able to take advantage of programs for teachers, because there's not many of them. A lot of them are retiring in high needs areas. So look forward to that in some future videos as well.
Definitely. I mean, I think, and I think that's kind of this sounds weird, but, my son, credit to him, he's 14, but for his age, he's really financial savvy, a lot more so than I was. And, I always tell him, like, it's weird that, and it's really just Western culture, because I lived all over the world during my time in the military, but Western culture in general pushes a consumption mentality. And it really fools you into thinking, and this was a prime example. I had 3 vehicles that were paid off. Now, the reason I had 3 vehicles, my wife has a car, my car's paid off, and I had a truck that was probably a 2003 Tahoe, right? And I said, we're so consumed with consumption. That vehicle ended up getting in an accident, and that vehicle I couldn't drive it anymore. The first thing that immediately popped into my mind, this is the first thing that popped into my mind. Oh man, I got to get another truck. It took me maybe 2 or 3 hours to really sit down and think, we aren't even going anywhere, and we got 2 cars outside. Do I really need another truck? But that goes to show that we're just kind of on autopilot with consume and replace. So that's definitely a mentality that I think if you want to have financial freedom, you got to really understand the concept of delayed gratification.
Absolutely. And with that, so basically, this is the debt-free dad, Marcus. He's got a lot more to say about becoming debt-free. You mentioned your service. I just want to say I definitely do appreciate your service in the military.
Thank you.
If you're interested in more of his content and following along with what his journey into becoming debt free, then check out his channel. We definitely have links in the description box down below. Marcus, it's been an absolute pleasure, and I know that people from your channel will be seeing my face on upcoming video as well. So
Definitely.
really do appreciate the time, and we will see you in the next one.
Peace. Have a good one. Take care, John. Peace.
Peace.